Hey guys, it's Skilled Legend here, and I wanted to talk about Life is Strange Before the Storm again, because there's been a couple of things that kind of clicked in my mind and kind of revelations that I had based on talking to some people in YouTube and on Twitter and on Reddit, and so I just kind of wanted to put everything together. Kind of what I want to see, or what I would hope to see in Life is Strange Before the Storm, Episode 3, and how the ending all comes together. So, if you haven't, again, played the first game or played Before the Storm up to Episode 2, and are waiting for episode 3, I would encourage you to either go watch it or play it yourself and then come back if you want to know more, because this will indeed have spoilers. So, first things first, these are not all my theories. I'm just kind of compiling what I think is the best part of some of these theories and then putting it together into what I kind of want to see. Basically, trying to take pieces of what some other people have said, including with my own opinions, and then put it together into kind of a super theory of what I think. Of course, I'm not taking responsibility. This is all other people, I'm sure, because I don't really keep track of what's going on in the Life is Strange community. I kind of watch some videos and then I kind of look at some stuff on Reddit. I don't really go through everything in great detail, so if someone else has already came up with this theories or parts of the theory that I think that I want to see that I don't really know that there's credit for, I am sorry. I am not trying to steal their work. I just will give credit where I know that credit is already kind of, established, like the parts that I've seen that are other people's work. For example, I'm going to talk about the Raven part, which I know that Geek Remix and excuse me, um, Geek Remix and I think it's Gamer Girl. I'm sorry, I can't remember her full YouTube name, but they have talked about the Raven and its control over Rachel. I'm going to talk to things about that, but there's going to be things that I talk about that I don't know if someone's already talked about on Reddit or YouTube or Twitter or anything, so I may not give credit for those kinds of things. But anyways, to get started, in the first game, everything was about Max having time powers and being able to reverse time to fix actions and basically to, like the moral of the story was that you get to have time with someone that normally you wouldn't get to have time with, as most people started to realize that the game was, even though the choices were very linear in which direction you had to go, and it, kind of erased some of the actions that you had made, it was a very strong message that, life is short. You shouldn't take for granted the people that are around you and that you love, and that we all wish that we could have a second chance with our loved ones. Um, so like, and then it's the question of would you really sacrifice anything to have a loved one back? Because none of us have that power to do that. And some people go, gosh, I really love this person. I wish that they would come back and I could see them for one last time and I would do anything. And we got that choice with Max and Chloe. But I feel like there was another kind of thing for that game. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, but I feel like this game was trying to fix the actions of Chloe's past and present and to make her survive to the future. Max clearly was trying to save Chloe the entire game until the end, where either you chose to save Chloe or you chose to save the Arcadia Bay. But the thing is I feel like the entirety of the game was trying to get you to correct the course of history so that Chloe could survive. Now, a lot of people might disagree with me, but here's the thing. Why did Max get the rewind powers in the first place? You could say that, it was so that they could discover what happened to Rachel together, find out what was happening with Jefferson, and then find out the whole Nathan scandals and all those things. You could say that, and it's a very valid point. But when you look at this game, what do you see? The same exact thing. Look at everything that's happened so far and before the storm. First of all, Chloe has these prophetic dreams, which people have been talking about, including Geek Remix and lots of other people. These prophetic dreams are guiding Chloe. They're telling Chloe to be extra, to make this friend of hers. In the first dream sequence, it was just about her dad, which is okay. I feel like it was setting up the trust between her and the Raven, which was kind of weird. But in the second dream, it was basically telling her, hey, sometimes your friends will say that they don't need you, but they actually do. This person is going to be your friend. Don't push her away. And that's important. That's really important to the plot going forward, because Rachel was huge in what was happening with Chloe's life at the time. They both wanted to get away, and she needed some help, because if you look at everybody else in Arcadia Bay, no one else wants to get away from there. But Rachel's the other person who wants to get away. Now, that brings up the other point. So the Raven, like I said, I was going to talk about this. The Raven was kind of... There seems moments where the Raven is controlling what Rachel is doing, what Rachel is thinking, what Rachel's actions are going to be. And I know that Geek Remix talked about this, and I know that the Gamer Girl talked about this as well, but there was that moment on the train where she just kind of said certain things that didn't really add up. How she was just going to leave one day, and it would be done like that. But here's the other thing. Ever notice that how Rachel will be randomly talking about something, and then she'll be like, let's leave tonight. Let's go away now. What are we waiting for? Let's go now. But then, after a while, she'll kind of completely come back to normal, and she'll be like, oh, well, we can take our time with that. We don't need to go now. But then, afterwards, sometimes she'll be like, again, what are we waiting for? Why don't we go now? Why don't we leave tonight? She says these things, and you'll see it throughout the game. The first time, I believe she says, let's leave. And then she says, don't worry about it. We can leave eventually when you're ready. But then she goes back on that statement and goes, we should leave tonight. We should leave as soon as possible. What are we waiting for? And to me, this is the Raven trying to save Chloe. Now, in the first game, like I said, you play as Max, you get the rewind powers, you try to save Chloe, and it fails. Unless you decide to sacrifice Arcadia Bay. But then, in the second game, Max isn't here, she doesn't have her rewind powers yet. But through the actions of Rachel trying to actually get her to leave through the Raven's control, again, we're trying to save Chloe's life. At least that's my opinion on the whole thing. Because it seems like I feel like, and people have talked to me about this, I've seen this on YouTube comments, I've seen this on Reddit, people think that this game is, we tried to save her life as Max, we couldn't do it, we failed. Even if you, people are even going as far as saying, even if you sacrifice Arcadia Bay, Chloe ends up dying. And so, this time, either Max or the universe went back farther in time to save Rachel, because Rachel's the only way that Chloe can survive. Now, I'm not sure if that's where they're going to go with this game, because they've talked about the finale being about, or the game being about a dark secret of the family, of the Amber family, and but they also said that while that's the focus of the game, the producers have said that even the hardcore fans of Life is Strange are going to have a really hard time figuring out how this game ends. But I feel like this is a possibility as well, because if you've noticed, when you do certain things in the game, you can do the meta choices. And when I say meta, I mean the choices that you see that happen within the actual original game itself. You can, for example, in the car when you do the graffiti in episode 2, you could put the all-seeing eye, which is actually in the same spot in Chloe's car, or you can do the frightening one where it says something about intruders will die or whatever. And you can pick a completely different choice. And the same thing goes with the game. You can take Rachel's bracelet instead of kissing her, or getting the tattoo, which we know that they both get tattoos eventually as well. But you can choose to kiss her, you can choose to get the bracelet instead, and we know that she doesn't end up with the bracelet at the end of the game. We know that Frank does in the first game. So how would that happen unless they're planning on changing the story itself? Does this mean that Rachel and Chloe are going to survive because some outside force of the universe or Max is messing with time? I don't know. It would be really cool to see that story is how things end, because I would really love to see. I'm growing very deeply invested in these characters. And the other thing is so in the second episode you have another prolific dream, and this one's a little bit more cryptic. It's about the fire, it's about darkness, it's about how, fire wants all the beauty, and you gotta be careful not to get burned. Now, a lot of people were saying that this was about Rachel itself. And I could be naive and be completely wrong, but I completely disagree. I feel like this is a little bit more hard to comprehend, but I feel like this is actually about Arcadia Bay itself. Arcadia Bay is being burned away by all the corruption and by all the things that are causing all these issues. And he's basically telling that, while there may be beautiful things in Arcadia Bay, or the Raven's trying to say, while there may be more beautiful things in Arcadia Bay, that you should go out into the world and find the other beautiful things. Because, like I said, I feel like this game is basically trying to still save Chloe in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like the universe, or Max, has figured out that the only way to save Chloe, the true only way to save Chloe, is to have her and Rachel survive. And I'm not sure if, I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but this is how I'd like to see it play out. Because there's things that we haven't seen happen yet. For example, we don't know if Rachel and Chloe actually kissed in the original game before that. We can assume so because they got along really well. But we know for sure she didn't get the bracelet, and we do know that they got matching tattoos. But those things are, there's the meta choice, there's the non-meta choice, and then there's the choice that we don't even know if that could have happened. And if we choose one of those things in the third episode, are we going to get to choose another one of those things? Because we know that she gets the tattoo eventually with Rachel. We know that she eventually dyes her hair blue. But is that going to happen? If Rachel doesn't die, does she still dye her hair blue? Was that Rachel's choice to tell her that her hair would look awesome blue? Or was that a reaction to the fact that, she didn't care anymore? She was so upset that everyone left her that she just did it out of being herself. There's so many things that haven't happened yet to Chloe that we know that will happen. And see, that's what's bothering me about this is like people are like making decisions, like they're making the meta decisions. Like for example, I've seen so many playthroughs where people are literally just getting themselves expelled because they know that Chloe gets expelled in the future. But what if this game is trying to trick us? What if making those meta decisions is going to make Chloe die in the end with Rachel? And the more non-meta things that you choose, the more time you change, and the more you have control over whether Rachel and Chloe survive this. Wouldn't that be cool? I think that's a little too elaborate and too far into maybe what is speculation and probably won't happen, but that's what I would like to see to happen. I'd like to see that the game tries to tell us, hey, this is the way that you could save Chloe, you could save Rachel. This is the universe trying to do that. Because it seemed like in the first game that like a lot of the times that the universe was trying to kill her, but at the same time it felt like why would Max have rewind powers if the universe was trying to kill her? Because she would just die and then it would be over. But giving her best friend the power to rewind time so that she could, fix things seems a little bit like kind of oxymoronish. Like, oh, you want to kill the person, but then you give their best friend the power to not make that irrelevant. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that this is a good kind of um, super like theory thing? Like, do you guys agree with it? Would you like to see something like that, or do you like kind of having the tragic story of Chloe and Rachel dying and knowing that their future and having to get to know the characters and having these little moments right now? Or what would you guys like to see for episode 3 in the ending? Let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys later.